Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Command Tower episode 5. This is a show which is 100% devoted to all things Commander. As always, I'm Dan, and I'm joined tonight by my two partners in crime, Adam and Tom. Good evening, chaps.
Hello.
Evening.
So, our first topic for tonight is a question that Tom asked the EDH help group on Facebook, and one I'm sure has been discussed in playgroups all across the world. When does a combo become degenerate?
It's a good question, I would say, and I think the answer is it never does. Frankly, like there's always a point that it starts to become unfun for people. I understand that, but I don't think it ever becomes degenerate in response. It's if you start having problems with it, you should start running hate for it. And if you really don't want to run hate for it, if you're part of sort of like a friendly play group, you say something to someone. But in my personal view, it's nothing different to someone dropping something like a Blightsteel Colossus with its 11 points of power and its horrible infect and trample and swinging with it on turn 3 or 4. There's no difference between it. It's still an instant win, which you can do relatively little about. But combo, in fact, is easy to disrupt because they have to play out the pieces one by one. There's a bunch of triggers where you get to respond. There's a couple of combos I can think of which become incredibly difficult to respond to, like Mind Over Matter as Army and Lab Maniac, because you're playing against like a mono blue deck, and if their hand isn't full of cards, then they're doing it wrong and they shouldn't be going to combo. But I honestly don't think combo is an issue. I think it's more people's sensibilities towards combos and the urge to shout cry more noob at them. But that's just my opinion.
See, for me, I think that if you can get out Blightsteel Colossus on turn 3, that to me is a combo because I can understand it coming down much earlier than it's supposed to with ramp and things like that. But if you can get it out turn 3, that to me is a combo. In answer to our main question, I think it becomes degenerate when it comes down too early. And more so if it can come down game after game after game after game after game early, because the whole idea of, especially with group commander, is that you get games that go on. Well, excuse me, you get games that go on for a reasonable amount of time, and everybody's just sort of settled down at the table. They're ready to play and whatever, and after 3 or 4 turns, someone dies, or the game just ends. It seems to be a bit of a waste of time. And the other thing, I don't have a problem with combos. When I used to build 60 card decks, I used to build combo decks all the time. I've got no problem with them. The problem for me is it's when, I don't know, it's almost when the combo becomes so familiar that you just know what's coming.
So you're more against consistency than the combo.
Yes, yeah. I don't have. I'd like to say I don't have a problem with combo. I have a problem with combos that are consistent.
So you're basically the issue is that if your win con is a combo, then it is supposed to be consistent.
I agree.
It's the main point of it. I agree that combos like turn 3 Blightsteel or turn 3 Emrakul, or not Emrakul, but Ulamog and Kozilek and all that sort of thing. That's ridiculous. That thing just that's too far.
Yeah.
But the combos which roll themselves out turn 6, turn 7, that's ones I've got complaints about in the past. Sort of, I've got into arguments with people with it about them in the past. I don't know why people get so uppity about it, but I got into an argument about it, and I don't see the problem. Especially if it's in a multiplayer game, your combo comes out turn 6, turn 7. If no one in a 4-5 player game has removal at that point, then it's not your fault that they don't have it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not your fault that you're comboing off. they should look at their deck lists and realize people are playing things and not go, oh, if I goldfish for it, if essentially if I play Storm for for a game I'm going to win, no, it's just not going to work. There's people going to be going no or yes or whatever, or attacking you and killing you. So I've got no issue with combo. I've got issue with stupid like turn 3, turn 4 combos, but apart from that, I don't care.
Yeah,
Play
it's
whatever the
wasting
hell
it
you like.
consistently early is the thing I don't like. If it can happen every game before turn 6, that to me is when it becomes degenerate.
Yeah, it's like I've seen a couple of decks which go like turn 1 land Soul Ring, tap Soul Ring, play Lightning Greaves, turn 2 then land and play Quicksilver Amulet, and turn 3 they're dropping like a Blightsteel or a Kozilek or an Alamog into play. And it's just, where's the fun in that? We're not where's the fun in that? It's more sort of, why do you want to do this?
Yeah. No, I was kind of thinking that. 'Cause I mean, I remember going through a problem with that with when one of our playgroup kind of came across that kind of concept and getting the blight steals and that down really early. My response to that was, "Did you enjoy that? That was a great game, wasn't it?" I, I, I always used to, in my head, always used to dislike combos oddly until quite recently. Oddly enough, hearing Tom speak about them and actually considering them in a bit more of a different light. Now, the only time I ever have a problem with a combo is if I don't know it, because how do I know what to stop? So I might grumble and groan after I'm killed by a combo the first time now, but the second time I'll be aware of what's coming. So I know, yes, I might not be able to stop it. I might be at the point where, as you say, I just happen to have no removal, or I'm just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But if you've got a combo player in your group that you know is a combo player, you should know when the combo is about to trip. They're going to get you the first time. They're probably going to get you the second time, but from then on, you should be aware. So they're only going to get you every now and then because you should know what you're stopping.
Yeah, it's like what happened in standard, just as an example, a couple of years ago, where you had Boros Reckoner, Boros Charm, and Azorius Charm, where basically it got dealt damage. You gave it life link and made it indestructible, so it kept hitting itself and looping, so you just gain infinite life. But as soon as people realized that was a thing, you had counter spells and removal for it. It happened once, maybe in a round, and that was it. At that, because people were expecting it. If you were holding open 4 mana and you were attacking with your Boros Reckoner into, you know, an obvious sort of board state, which was bad, then you're obviously holding something open for. And for me, to be honest, I'm quite brash when it comes to my commander games. I don't sort of play nice with people. I'll tell people that, oh, I can mind slave a lock you, I can instant win with Azami, or Marath is a complete combo deck. Like certain pieces are brilliant with him, etc., etc. It like I always tell people what's coming. If they don't see it and don't react to it, then what can I do?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I like your analogy of when speaking earlier about to you the opposite to a combo player. But I would say, would you say most combo players have got blue in the deck, or is that
Um,
just me looking in? Because I say I'm not a combo player, so
yes and no. Like Marath is completely combo, but that
yeah,
does
he's no.
obviously doesn't have blue. Um,
So it's just like the
yeah,
analogy you use was someone dropping a stupidly large miscutter Hydra, which generally speaking, it's the opposite of you. You can't stop that usually.
yeah,
Just it just thunders through.
yeah. There's not much which can stop it. I've sort of tailored my deck now so I can stop that sort of thing. But that's exactly what you should be doing. You shouldn't just go, "Oh, that
Yeah,
thing's not
I
fair.
mean,
That's a combo." Ban the
every
combo.
time you walk into say you move town and you go and start playing in a new commander group, you're going to get caught out by probably each deck at the table at least once by something that you're not used to in your own group. So you just
Yeah,
change a couple of odd cards in your deck to accommodate. I mean, it's not necessarily a case of you need to hate on something, but you adjust. You realise what's now
but
the weakness of your decks.
this game that we play, Magic, is designed to be complicated and strategic. In that, if you come across a problem, you have to change your strategy to beat it. The change in strategy isn't to start shouting and moaning at people, it's to change your deck to try and beat it.
Yeah, you can't expect your opponent to take it out just because you don't like it.
Yeah, there's certain things obviously which need to be banned because there does come a point where you have to run it, otherwise you get beaten by it, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
But most of the time, it's you look at it, and go, okay, what beats Blightsteel? Well, if I'm playing white, Path, Swords, Condemn, that sort of thing beats it because it's just like bottom of your deck, exiled, sorted. It like there's obviously some colors which have problems with it, but it's just don't complain about it. Try and find ways around it.
So if you're one of the colours that's got problems with it, go back to our episode last week and have a look on diplomacy. You've got friends at the table.
Yeah, you got friends around. And like if you're playing with me and someone at the table is into the sort of turn 3, turn 4, Blightsteel, then they have another thing coming. I will make sure they don't get to play anything. Don't worry. But yeah, I don't think combos in Commander are a problem. I think with Commander, with such high life totals, you have to have a get out of jail free card. Essentially, I mentioned that last week, and I'll keep going with it. There's always going to be a time where you will just need to beat someone.
Is there a combo that you can think of where if someone does it against you, where you just think that's enough? Like I never want that to happen to me again. It's not it's not a case of I'm going to pack enough removal to stop this happening. It's more of a case of that's not fun. I never want to have that done again. My one of those would be the Mindslaver lock, because there's nothing fun in a Mindslaver lock. You just basically sit there. You could just go and put the kettle on, go outside and have a smoke. You could go down the Chinese takeaway and get everyone food while someone else plays your deck for you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. There are a couple of things, but the issue with the Mindslaver lock is that it's incredibly vulnerable. There's a lot of pieces which have to lie around for a while.
Is that you repeatedly mindslaver someone?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mindslaver lock. Yeah, where you just keep taking over their turn. But the fact is that there are ways around it. Like if if you have a naturalize in hand, for whatever reason they haven't sort of like clicked onto it, you can always get rid of it or whatever. There's so many ways around things. It's not like there are a million broken combos in Magic that you can't stop.
No, it's knowing your enemy.
That's essentially what it is.
Know the combos. You don't have to be a combo player to. I mean, if you're listening to this, you've got the internet. So if you don't like combos, go and research them. Go and find out what the combo decks are. So
combos hate cards to begin with, and discard. They hate it. Can't deal with it. It's just because if you make them discard stuff, they're screwed.
Well,
that's a combo.
They generally have to try and fetch their key pieces. So often after a fetch spell, they will have something in their hand they need for their combo.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not a big fan of playing discard, but that's the kind of situation where it is acceptable.
Yes, I know because I apply sometimes my thoughts on modern like on Commander a bit too much, which is why sort of when I look at my decks and what things about them, I have a look at them and all the curves are between 2 and 3.5. That's where all my curves lie. Everything in my deck is incredibly cheap, and if it's expensive, it's a bomb that wins me the game. Like Azami, the most expensive things in there are All Is Dust, which basically keeps me alive, so I kind of need it. Then there's Mind Over Matter, which is 6, which wins me the game. If Azami's out, it wins me the game. Because if I have a grip full of cards, 3 mana open, and that thing resolves, I will draw down to that Lab Maniac, play it, and then win. It's that sort of card. But I sometimes think about it and see where people come from. Then I realise that they're just moaning because they can't do the same thing. They want to be able to do it, but they don't have the balls to do it.
I don't think it necessarily comes down to that. I mean,
I disagree on that bit.
Yeah. No, I don't understand it. I don't understand why people moan rather than just try and fix the problem.
Yes, no, I understand that bit, but I don't understand. I don't agree with you saying that they just haven't got the balls to do it themselves.
Okay, fair enough. It is a bit of a sweeping statement.
Yeah. Because
The
I mean,
thing is,
I will groan at a combo, but I will never be. I'm not a combo player, so I won't do it myself. But that doesn't mean I'm going to groan. But it doesn't mean I'd groan if I got swung at and killed anyway.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's essentially the same thing. The difference between it is that you'll see the creature which kills you, but you won't see the combo.
Yes.
It's the same sort of thing as a top deck which kills you.
Yeah.
You're on 3 life and someone top decks the bolt to kill you.
Yeah. Now, oddly enough, I mean, if someone top deck a bolt to kill me, I'd just be like, okay, fair game. I wouldn't be massively upset by that. Yet at the same time, before obviously having a proper think on it, and obviously everything you've said over the time, I would get annoyed by a combo killing me. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things. You kind of always just have to accept it.
Combo is a part of the game. It always will be. Wizards will always print a combination of cards which ends up doing something, and it's something that people have to learn to deal with.
And it's quite often they're not apparent until a few years down the line when something else fills in the final piece of something.
Exactly. Like, what is it? Like Splinter Twin was one set apart, but Splinter Twin itself was like, okay, it's a good card. You know, you tap it, you make a guy. But then they released Deceiver Exarch, and it's like, oh, that's brilliant with that. That's an infinite combo. And then it was the same, like going, wait, doesn't Kiki Jiki do the same sort of thing?
Yeah,
Doesn't Pestamite sort of do it? Then they released Restoration Angel, going, oh wait, doesn't Restoration Angel and Kiki Jiki work as an infinite sort of 3/4 flag with haste? It is just literally all the jigsaw puzzles coming together. It's literally you've made the sides, and now you've got to sort of fill in the bits in between. And I think that's what's brilliant about combo, in that it's incredibly intelligent. Someone's put in the time and the effort to look at it and go, okay, so that works with that. Now, if I can find a card which makes me a mana every time this goes off, that's infinite mana. Oh, there's the card. Okay, now how can I find a better card than that? That's not 6 mana but is less. It's incredibly intelligent rather than just dropping a guy and just hitting you.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, Tom. You're a Sammy deck.
Yeah.
Does it ever get boring for you?
No.
Like,
categorically no.
Is it the only combo in there that you literally just draw your whole deck, play Laboratory Maniac, draw the rest, win?
Mindslaver Lock as well, but I've actually been thinking about that in the past few days, and I may take it out just because it's not as consistent as the Mind Over Matter combo, and it is unfun. Plus, it's not a guaranteed win.
No. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think comparing Mindsaver Lock to others, I think a combo that ends the game there and then is better than a combo that's likely to win. It's just going to draw it out. I mean, Mindslaver Lock, you're likely to win if you get a Mindslaver Lock on someone. You're not, as you say, they're not guaranteed it, but it's just going to take ages.
It comes under the same strain as infinite turns and infinite mana.
Yeah.
Because if you have infinite turns and you have a 2/2 and they have a 3/3, doesn't matter. You haven't won the game. You have to find something to beat their 3/3. And if you can't, you lose because you deck yourself out. Infinite mana, it's just like, okay, I've made infinite mana. Now what do I do with it? You have to have applications for it. And the Mindslaver Lock comes in the same thing. It's like, okay, I've locked them out of their own turns. What can I do with it?
Yeah.
I can technically make them deck themselves, but have I drawn more cards than them? Have I, have they drawn more cards than me? Have they sort of played draw spells? Have they got something which will shuffle their graveyard back into the deck? You never know.
Yeah.
But yes, it's the only two combos in the deck. Marath is a completely different beast because he's all combo. Just he's insane. I actually convinced someone a couple of weeks ago that he is worse than Azami. Azami comes down, you get to counter a bunch of things, but if you every control deck has the issue of what happens if I don't draw the counter. But Marath doesn't care because it's just like he makes tons of dudes. It's just an infinite number of blockers. So you've always got something to slow the game down to your own pace. Whereas Azami doesn't have that. You can counter it, but we have the counter for the next spell. Have you countered the wrong spell?
That's the thing. That's the bit that always used to get me with combos. It's knowing which piece to destroy. Because it's trying to interact with combos that then they come up with a reason why that hasn't actually stopped it because this has then happened and my head just at that point shuts down. But when, as I say, it's one of those, it's learning. As I say, if you ever get hit by a combo, and even if you've tried to stop it and it seems to have failed because your opponent still seems to set it off, go and look the combo up online. There'll be forums that tell you how to stop it and what bit you need, what point you need to jump in and say, haha, no. Because
Yeah,
sometimes it's a case of timing.
it's like the Archangel Thune Spike Feeder combo. You kill it when the counter comes off, is when you kill it, or when the Archangel Life Gain trigger goes. There's always, and then there's like the Malera combo. You get rid of Malera or the sack outlet when the Finks hits the graveyard and the persist trigger goes off. There's always ways to get around
It's
it.
just knowing when to time in correctly.
Yeah, it's not. It's think clearly. Don't rage. Just deal with it. If you can't deal with it, remember for next time where to do it.
Yeah, and as I say, commanders generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, most people play it amongst a group of friends. So if you're unsure about the combo, ask your mate.
Yeah,
Either plays it.
there's always. I happily explain all my combos to people. If they don't understand it, I will tell them, what to do and even where to stop it.
Just because combo players are evil, horrible people doesn't mean they won't explain things.
No, if you don't explain things, if you can't explain to someone how your combo works, then
You're
you
not.
shouldn't be playing
You
it
shouldn't be playing
because
combo.
you don't know what's happening. You have to know what's happening to know, like if they go to do this, then you have to know that you're supposed to stop that. Otherwise, you don't combo. It, you know, there's so many ways around it. Like combo is a very intelligent way of playing in that it's not all play this, play this, play this, play this combo. Especially you only have one of each. You have to know where the pieces lie and which pieces to protect more than others.
Okay. So would you I don't know. So, okay, so let's say right, you've got a 15-year-old kid just learnt to play Magic maybe a year or so ago. He's just got into Commander, and he wanders into your local game store, or whatever, or someone's brother or whatever, and he comes in and he sits down for his first game of Commander. Do you use a combo deck? And if you do you explain before what the combo is to give them some sort of chance of stopping?
I always do warn people that I don't know that what my decks are like. If they don't know me and what the sort of the decks that I play, I always do say to them, you know, I can't. You have to realize that this deck is just going to do this, and there might not be much you can do. It's like whenever I get invited to do sort of like casual Magic, like 60 card decks, and go like the only 60 card deck I've got built at the moment is Malera Pod. You're all playing casual decks. It's going to last about 4 turns, and then you're going to be picking your cards up, which is it's the sad sort of truth of things. Combo is very sort of it's very equal in that it hates everyone exactly the same amount.
Yeah,
Just it becomes very sort of apparent when you start playing with people who aren't as experienced as others.
yeah. Because I mean, like the commander is massively expanding. There's new players joining all the time, and you can't always expect new people to commander. I mean, even if they've been playing Magic for 10 years, you can't expect even them sometimes to walk into commander and know exactly what's going on because it's a whole different ball game from 60 card commander. Sorry, 60 card Magic, and I my personal standpoint is if you've got someone who's just wandered it and you play commander, and you play combo decks in commander, then maybe possibly thinking about building one deck that doesn't combo just as a sort of ease them in a bit, and then once they've got a couple of decks and they're a little bit more into the format, then you can say right, well now I'm busting out my combo decks. Is that something that you agree with?
Yeah, I do agree with, and it is something that I do actually struggle with myself because um I always end up building a deck that's relatively fair. Like I built an Afara deck that had no sort of combo win cons. It was basically just, if you've seen what Stoneblade is in Legacy, it's essentially the Commander version of that. You drop something like a True Name or a Geist of Saint Draft, and you just go to town. You put you have removal, you have protection for it, you like Battle Skull swords, you just start swinging away. But the issue with it is that it's just, I don't know. I get bored of beatdown decks. I don't know whether it's because of my relatively short attention span, or that it just doesn't feel the same sort of way compared to combo, because combo is very sort of pure in that it goes, I've won. There's no, when you resolve a threat when you're playing creatures or a fair deck, you can go, okay, I've resolved this. It's a win con. I've not necessarily won yet. I've got to work through it. And I guess in saying that as well, maybe combo's the easy way out compared to creature decks. But there's pros and cons to all of them.
Yeah, you say it's the easy way out. I think combos probably there's a lot more planned before the game, whereas a creature deck you've got to kind of plan a lot more in the game, try and get through.
Yeah, I don't even think with combo, when you go into the game, you have to have some sort of plan as to what you're going to do, what you're going to go find, etc. But with creature decks, you just go with the flow. You go, okay, that guy's open, swing at him. That guy's open, swing at him. Okay, that guy's got more guys than me. Keep my guys back. It's just as simple as that. That's what it is with me and creature decks anyway. That's how I sort of play my creature decks when I play them in Commander. But I've always played sort of one-sided decks in that it's either combo or control, or like one of my first sort of horrible decks was Janara Hexproof. Everything in that deck was Hexproof or gave Hexproof. And it annoyed a lot of people because you'd play Janara, you put a bunch of things on it, then you just start going to town with the +1/+1 counters, and it was brilliant. But obviously it annoys people, and I stopped playing it in the end because it was just boring for me as well.
Okay.
Because if I resolved it, she got to a certain size, I'd won. Because there wasn't much you could do.
Okay. Well, to wrap this segment out, I want to see if we can manage this in no more than 30 seconds. Tom, explain why people should play combo in Commander.
Oh God. Okay. 30 seconds starting when I start talking about. Okay, so you should start playing combo in Commander, because combo is one of the most intelligent and fun ways to win Magic, because you can come back from nowhere and win. You can annoy people if that's your sort of thing. You can do it, but you can also make a lot of friends doing it by just ripping someone out of the game. You can also play politically and very aggressively with combo. There's so much you can do with it. It's basically like playing creatures, just with less creatures. It's exactly the same sort of thing there. And you get you're not immune to removal either. You have to think, and if you like to think playing Magic, play combo, because you have to think it through, and if you don't, you lose. And I think that's everything I can say about it, really.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, Adam, go on. 30 seconds. Why should or shouldn't people play combo?
Well, I'm being put on the spot as well.
Yeah.
I think, because as I said, I'm not a combo player, so I can't really give you many reasons to. But at the same time, until you try playing all different styles, how do you know where you're going to fit? Quite simply, you may not think, you may hate that combo that's beat you. You may have never tried combo, but it's something I've now considered, that if you don't try it, how are you going to know if you're going to enjoy it or not?
Yep.
Quite simple.
I can think of a few other things that applies for. But,
oh God.
For me, I'm going to put myself on the spot, although I've had a bit more time to think about it.
A whole minute more.
Yeah, a whole minute more. I think that you should try it because at times combos can be fun, and I think it's worth exploring certainly new combos that maybe you've not seen before, other people haven't seen before, and it's worth exploring to see if you can come up with some of your own. And as it's been said already, you've got to be quite clever to either construct or play the combo deck, unless you're Tom, in which case you can just get away with it anyway.
Yeah, I do get away with it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on then, why not?
Right.
Okay, so let's move on to the next segment, which is our deck of the week. This week's
So, Dan, what's our deck of the week then?
so this week's deck comes from a listener and also someone in my playgroup. The deck is called Rage Against the Machine. The reason it's called Rage Against the Machine is because it uses a hell of a lot of artifacts, and the whole idea is that you get out a combo to make people rage quit. This deck was designed to make one of our players, who I don't know if he listens to this, it was designed to make him quit. I refuse to rage quit ever because it's just a game. And I played against this deck last night, and I can tell you that one of the guys may have been ready to rage quit. We managed to get through it. So, the commander for this one is Arkham Dagson, which is blue and 3 for a 2/2. And you tap him, and it says target artifacts creatures can. Controller sacrifices it. That player may search their library for a non-creature artifact and put it into play, and then shuffle their library. So, guys, what do we think?
My interpretation of the deck is that it's a fairly decent deck. I've tried this thing before, but it was in Esper colours and with Shroom, so it was sort of a bit different. But I did run Dagson in the deck, and just having a quick look through, I'm surprised that there's no top in there. Especially with no sort of like tutors and little card draw. Top deck fixing is a major part that this deck needs. Like, there may only be a couple of things in here that tutor at all. Like, there's Expedition Map, which lets you go find a land. And after that, I can't see much which sort of jumps out at me and makes you go, oh, that's a tutor card. After that, I find Glaring Spotlight in the deck to be a bit of a non-card, considering that if you're going to be targeting other controllers' artifacts, then all you're going to sort of be targeting really that's going to be a problem is Worm Coil, and it doesn't really solve the issue because they've still got the 2 tokens coming out the other end. Blightsteel Colossus, essentially. And Blightsteel Colossus just shuffles back in. So there's pros and cons, but I don't think it's good enough. And if he's using it for the second ability, I can see why he's using it, but I think just if he's going to use it for that ability, you might as well use Artful Dodge because you can use it twice in a row. I wouldn't put Artful Dodge in, but that's what you're basically wanting. If I was to change anything, I'd change the Glaring Spotlight to Lightning Greaves, because I've noticed that there's no Lightning Greaves in here. And as we mentioned before, Lightning Greaves on a Blightsteel Colossus is a bit of a win con, apparently. After that, I think the only thing that I would suggest would be Howling Mine, because the deck doesn't seem to have that much in the way of draw power. But apart from that, I can't think of much else to change.
Well, yeah, I mean, following on for that, I mean, because obviously I noticed the severe lack of card. I mean, actually, to be honest, the biggest thing that jumped out at me is I thought when I first went to look at the deck on the page, I thought the page had loaded up as an error, because I don't think I've ever seen a deck with no sorceries or enchantments in Commander. So that kind of caught me. I don't know, there just didn't seem to be that many. I mean, I know obviously it's got lots of tricks with Dagson, killing this to fetch that, blah, blah, and so on and so forth. But there don't seem to be that many surprises to come, because you know Dagson's on the board. You can see, he's available to do his ability. You might not know what's going to come out, but you know that that's going to happen. There aren't that much. I like having surprise answers in my hand to things. which is a surprise. But on the card draw front, I like the idea of Halloween. Halloween's fantastic, and at 2 mana, it's great. But generally speaking, I would say the vast majority of the artifacts in the deck, the non-creature ones, it's obviously Dagson's going to be fetching them rather than you casting them. So I personally think something like Staff of Nin's better because the mana cost becomes irrelevant when you're fetching it to put it straight into play. And why provide card draw for your opponent when you can provide it just for yourself? So, I mean, there's a couple of different artifacts that provide you with an additional draw each turn. I just happen to use Staff of Nin quite regularly myself because I always enjoy being able to ping as well. It's a bit of fun.
Do you think maybe he's running too few sort of creature artifact spells? Like I could think of a couple, and actually I've just found one that I was thinking of that he could put in because like you have quite a lot of these non-creature artifacts, but if you have a whole load of those and Dagson,
Yeah, you're
then
stuck.
you're not going to be hitting much.
Well, I mean, two of the
Like
I thought that, and two I came across that I think are quite a good fit for the deck: Mere Retriever and Junk Diver, because they're both essentially the same creature. They're both 1/1 creatures. One has flying, one doesn't. It's an artifact creature. When it dies, you return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So you could potentially chuck out the Ornithopter, use Dagson one turn, Ornithopter's gone, you fetch something useful, you play the Junk Diver next turn, use Dagson, get the Ornithopter back. You've got a bit of repeat use out of your creatures there, and they're just cheap creatures that you quite happily would Dagson away.
yeah, I try and find like sadly like blue's quite restrictive in the way it makes tokens. So like he's got Shining Sphinx here, which is about probably as good as it gets when it comes to making
Yeah, he's
sort
got
of
Thopter Assembly as well.
yeah, Thopter Assembly's good
I mean,
because
the
you
other
can
ones,
sack off
the likes
those
of Trixskillion and is it? I can never remember is it Pentavus?
Pentavus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they both have the ability
Pentavus.
to make 1/1 artifact creatures that can be bunged off to Dagson.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah. I
they're all
just yeah, I
potentials.
think it. Yeah, I think it's just mostly draw, to be honest.
It is. I
That's
think
lacking.
its biggest issue is draw, unless it certainly ups its artifact creature count of creatures you don't mind capping off.
Yeah, I still
Yeah.
like it though. Yeah, and I think I'd replace Arkham with Muzio if it was me, but apart from that, I
Yeah,
think it's a good
I can
deck.
see the argument for both of them.
What do you think then, Dan?
Yeah,
So
you played it. What do you think?
I've played with it and against it. I like it. I do like it, and I know that it was designed and based on a 60 card deck that I had, which would win with Mike's Inflatus and my first card to include, which is March of the Machine. So
Oh, is that where all your non-creatures become creatures?
yeah, your non-creature artifacts become creature artifacts with power and toughness equal to its mana.
Doesn't that kill all your land?
It does kill all your land, but there are a couple of cards. There is Ethereum something or other. It gives
Yeah,
you artifact creatures +1/+1. That
yeah,
would stop your lands dying.
yeah.
It does kill off their lands as well, and in this it's going to give you quite a lot of creatures, and then there's some of them going to be quite small, but at least you've got some, and you've got things like Ring of Three Wishes to go and get something that's even bigger if you needed it. If
I've
if
just
you've got lands.
I've just noticed which something that's missing from here, which probably should be in there, is Tezzeret the Seeker.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's a
Yeah,
severe lack of
it
Walker.
it seems like the perfect card to
It
have
does,
because
yeah.
it untaps your artifacts when you come in. If you're playing Soul Ring or anything like that, you instantly just see the obvious, benefits to it. It lets you go find artifacts you can't usually find, like you can just bring him in and zero him to find an Ornithopter to play to sack off to Dagson
Action
to find
straight.
something else.
And then you can do the same the next turn for the other 2/0 ones quite comfortably.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
if you keep plussing him up, you end up making all your non-creature artifacts into 5/5s, which you can swing with. Is it 5/5s? I think it's 5/5s.
Yeah, 5/5s. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tez makes so much sense in here.
yeah. Tezzeret seems like the perfect card to add in here. There's
Yeah, damn straight.
yeah.
Yeah.
I I'd maybe drop off on the hate a bit and make it more of a control combo deck or something like that. But you know me, if it's not control or combo, it should be control or combo.
Yeah.
I mean, what about, so we've suggested a couple of cards. Oh, sorry, did you have something else, Dan?
I had another one, yeah, which was the recently unbanned Metalworker. So Metalworker in this is going to give you quite a lot of mana to be
Yeah.
able to pop down your Blightsteel Colossus on turn 3.
Oh yeah,
Yay!
yay! Everyone wants that. Yay! Yeah,
Yeah,
Metal seems
exactly.
insane in this.
Yeah,
And the
metal.
other thing is as well is when once he's sort of run his course and he's no use anymore, you can sacrifice him to go and get something else. And the last card I was going to suggest, this was in my 60 card version, and it's 1,000-Year Elixir. It gives Arkham Dagson pseudo haste so he can tap the turn he comes into play. And you can pay 1 tap for the Elixir to untap Arkham Dagson. Or you can untap any creature, but you can untap Arkham Dagson. So you get 2 throws of the die.
Yeah.
If you've got 2 artifact creatures.
One of the other things I completely forgot to mention, and I mean, this runs well in most commander decks, really, but certainly all artifact decks should run it, and that's all his dust.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Like the issue with it is obviously that it's 7 mana, and we know that he's trying to work on a relative budget.
Oh, I
so-
know
And
that.
it's also like £40.
Is it?
No, it's not £40. I got one. It's not that much. It may be 10, 15
I
at
was going to
most.
say, I think I only paid a tenner for my promo one, so.
What annoys me is I picked one up out of a booster when I didn't know much about Magic and it wasn't a card yet, and it's just like, oh, this looks nice. Sold it to something, and
Yeah.
wish I still had it when I bought my other
I
one.
mean, just for a few things, then, because obviously we've come up with a few cards that we all think are fairly good ideas. What would you take out? Not for anything in particular, but what cards do you think are in there that just don't make the grade?
Haunted Plate Mail.
Yeah, Haunted Plate Mail's a control card.
Yeah, Energy Chamber. Having a quick look through it, I can't see much that it puts stuff on except maybe Lux Cannon.
Yeah, it's only Lux Cannon and making creatures bigger.
Yeah.
And
Just a...
Crystal Ball?
No, Crystal. I like Crystal Ball. I like the Scry
Crystal
effect.
Ball's
The Scry
enough.
effect's really good.
Synthesized Divining Top, so I can see that.
Yeah, Crystal Ball's what you take out for Divining Top, if anything, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you could have 2.
Ratchet Bomb and Relic of Progenitus seem weird. Definitely Relic. Relic seems weird. I can understand it in Commander in that you just want to get things out of their graveyard, but
we were
sometimes
playing last night and we had a deck that was basically reanimating, and that was out.
Relic to me is one of those things that, again, I'd kind of love to have against certain decks in our group, but they're not ones that I play regularly, so it depends on your group. That Relic to me very much depends on your group.
There's other cards like Thornbite Staff, which just there's probably something I'm missing in here, but I don't see it.
That's the Shaman one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So you could, let's say, have a mere Battlesphere out. You can have Thornbite Staff on Arkham Dagson. You can sacrifice an artifact to a token, or can't you? I may be thinking of the wrong thing, but I think it's when a creature actually hits the graveyard, isn't it? He untaps.
Oh yeah, so you can. Yeah, I see it. Okay,
I can see.
Okay,
yeah,
you could basically start shotgunning stuff away. He sort of becomes a pseudo avatar of Woe.
Okay, it's okay, but it's incredibly meh.
I mean, the fact that you can search for it and fetch it makes it a bit better. But yeah, I'd say it's still one that wouldn't jump out at me as an immediate option.
Yeah. The other one, the last card I can see just going through it would be Trading Post. I can only see so much from this.
Post.
Yeah, Trading Post.
I don't know.
Okay, let's put it like this. If it's foil, keep it in. Otherwise, take it out.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, take it out then. I had a full Trading Post. It was beautiful.
I don't know. I like Post. I personally, I'd probably keep Post. But yeah,
it could have been the card that we wanted, but it wasn't. What's the Batman quote? It's I'm not the Batman they want, but the Batman that they deserve. It's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only cars, other than what's been said already, that I'd potentially take out, or no, not potentially at all, I've mentioned it several times, is Lux Cannon. I don't like Lux Cannon. I just can't get excited over it. I can understand with Unwinding Clock, you can in a 4-player game, you can fire it up every one of your turns, but like destroying a permanent every 3 or 4 turns, I don't.
It just seems that it should be Teferi.
Should be what?
Yeah,
It should be Teferi. You just replace it straightly for Teferi, probably. That's probably what I'd do, but...
I mean, Tez.
Oh, yeah,
Tezzeret.
Tezzeret.
Yeah.
Oh,
To
God.
fair. That's why
Yeah,
I
I
was
was gonna say
confused.
Teferi's in there already.
I
Yeah,
was, I was thinking about Blue Planeswalkers and the new one coming out. I was just like,
Got
mm,
names.
Teferi, all the untap, all the degeneracy.
yeah. No, that's fine. So, yeah, I mean, overall, guys, what do you like the deck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, I like it. I mean, my artifact build is Esper, and yeah, I mean, I did consider mono blue artifact when I was building mine, and Dagson's one of the one I breezed over, and did consider him until I chose to go Esper with mine. But yeah, I like it. It's one I'd probably enjoy playing with. I think if I owned it, it'd probably be one of those ones I enjoy playing with, but I wouldn't bring it out regularly.
I think
Is how I feel about that one.
I think it'd be generally the same for me. I think if I'd built this deck, it would have been Muzio rather than Dagson, especially now that Muzio's around. If Muzio wasn't around or a card, I like you said, Adam, I'd be playing Esper. I'd be playing silly combos with Sharoom and Fraction Metamorph because
Yeah, I opted for
that's
Sidri because I'm a beat you in the face kind of guy.
yeah, Sidri's nice, but she's too fair.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so no, I like the deck overall. As I said, I do think it needs some more way of, as we said, controlling the board a bit more with Lawless Dust for removal, certainly some card draw. Yeah, but no, I like it overall.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've certainly seen online. There's a few people saying, "I think Dagson's nuts as a commander." I think personally, any commander that's a tutor is pretty nuts.
Yeah,
Just because it gives you that little bit more consistency in what you're doing.
it's why his army's so good. She's just a draw engine, and when
Yeah.
your deck is full of control and wizards, you know, drawing 4 or 5 cards a turn is easy and incredibly brilliant because you've always got a full hand. You can just drop counterspell after counterspell, and you're always drawing more. And if you've got good recursion, like I'd like to think as my army deck does, then it becomes even easier.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Commanders that draw you cards are better than all the others.
Okay, Francis, I hope you found that helpful, not just having me telling you what to take in and out. So, there's no prizes for guessing what our last segment is for tonight.
It's the weather.
Our
Pizza of the week. Mine's pepperoni.
Hawaiian.
Mine's got to have fish on it. No, it's
What? Is it because you like Lorthos the Tide Maker? Is that why it has to have fish on it?
No.
Surely if you liked him, you wouldn't. I think we're getting off topic.
I'm going to quickly address it. It's because I'm pescatarian. I don't eat any meat other than fish, and I don't particularly like cheese. So, not on a pizza.
How can you not like cheese?
On a pizza.
And this is the last podcast, guys. That views cannot be considered compatible anymore.
Right, so card of the week before we get to.
Before we start hitting each other with fish.
Yeah. So, guys, what's your card of the week this week?
My card of the week, with the fact that probably when I get around to actually uploading this podcast, Khans of Tarkir will be released, is Crucible of Worlds. Now, if you're thinking, why does Khans of Tarkir have anything to do with Crucible of Worlds? It's because of the goddamn fetches. Oh, God. It works so well with fetches because if you open a hand of 3 mana a fetch and a Crucible of Worlds, you are set for the entire game for as much mana as you're ever going to need, unless someone's a dick and kills your Crucible of Worlds. Swear count 1. But it's because you could just keep recurring the fetch. You go like, okay, play this fetch in the graveyard, tap,
Yeah,
sack.
it's not much to lose 1 life to fix your mana, but as you say, I'm
No.
sure someone will be very nice and blow your Crucible up fairly quickly for you.
It is very abrupt decayable. 3 mana should just read can be abrupt decayed. Or
I thought it did.
CBAD can be abrupt decayed.
See, I've got 2 words why I don't like this card. Strip mine.
I've got one. Oh yeah, strip mine. I strip mine your land. Cool. I'll play it again. Aw.
Yeah. I'm happy with this card as long as there's no strip mine involved.
Yeah, I can see that. It is. It's one of those nasty ones.
I don't like strip mine. I think strip mine should be banned in Commander. I know it's a one-off, but the sheer fact that Crucible of the Worlds is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, ban one or the other, but nobody likes.
No, there's nothing wrong with Crucible of Worlds. I think there's everything wrong with strip mine in that it can hit any land.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's Crucible of Worlds fine because with fetches, yeah, as you say, you're paying life just to fix your mana base for the entire game. It's fine. I can accept that, but the moment someone starts playing with strip mine in it, that does kind of start to take it away a bit, and it's just like really.
Yeah. We also forgot Sadbot, but I'd like to think the people. I'd like to think the people who listen to this now realise that Sadbot is the card of forever. No? Okay, moving on.
Go on then, Dan, what's yours this time?
Okay, so mine, we're going to keep with the artifact theme for mine, and mine, I may have mentioned this already, actually, Metalworker.
Yeah, you did mention it.
Yeah, I was playing with this when it was still banned. As I may have mentioned before, in our group, we have the rule where there's no banned list, but you're only allowed to play 1 card from the official banned list. And this has been in my Jorkadine deck since the day it was built. I really, really like this card. Obviously, it's only good for artifact heavy decks, otherwise it doesn't really do very much. In this, in my deck, it sits quite nicely. It gives me the mana if and when I need it. If I don't need it, it's a 40.
Yeah.
So, with Jorkadine in play, I mean, not on its own, that would be nuts.
I like Metalworker in Commander. It's not as bust as it seems to be in things like Legacy. In Legacy, it just seems insane. Being able to just tap this, just go reveal my hand, play this Emrakul, swing, you're dead.
And as I always seem to mention art as well on my card of the week, its art is lovely.
Its art's pretty funky. It's not too bad. It's pretty funky. Oh, just because you've just mentioned it, when you guys look through the deck list that's going to be in the description, you may notice that Tolarian Academy is there. As Dan has mentioned, this is from his playgroup where they don't have a banned list, but they can have a card from the banned list in their deck. Is it just one of them?
Yes, yeah, one card from the official ban list in your deck, but we don't have our own. We don't really use ban lists.
Okay, so when you're listening to this video and when you have a look at the deck list and say, "Oh, Tolarian Academy shouldn't be in there," it's fine. It's a house rule. We've talked about house rules in the past, so I like to think you guys should be okay with it.
Yeah,
please be okay with it.
If not,
anyway,
you don't have to come play with us.
So, Adam, what's your deck of your card of the week?
I've actually gone for Phyrexian Processor, which is sticking with the artifact theme again. Phyrexian Processor, 4 to cast as it comes into play, pay any amount of life, 4 and tap it, put an XX minion into play where X is the life paid. Commander's a game where you've got an abundant life. Usually, I mean, you start with 40, what's 10 life to be able to make a 10-10 for 4 mana each turn? Seems a bit of fun for a creature enthusiast like myself. Even better in a life gain deck. It can chuck out massive guys quite easily. It's a bit of fun.
Is that the card that Wizards put out a video of a Pro Tour like years and years and years ago where it's Keebler, I think it is Brian Keebler versus someone, and it's basically them seeing who can draw the third Phyrexian, what's it called,
Processor.
and play it and
I mean,
start attacking with it.
you wouldn't need a third one because only one is needed.
Well, yes, but this is this was in standard years and years ago. I was thinking about whether it's the same one.
I couldn't tell you, mate, to be honest, but I just know it's one of those ones that I've always had knocking around. I mean, I've only got 1 or 2 copies, and they keep like flitting between different decks periodically. I just find them quite amusing because no one seems to be willing to leave you generating a 10/10 for 4 mana for very long.
No.
What I'll do, if I can remember the video and find it, I'll put it in the description below, or put it in an annotation somewhere when we're talking about this, because I'm pretty sure it's the right one. It's a brilliant video to watch. It's just so brilliant.
Yeah, it's just one of those old cards. Cause I remember playing with it years ago, and it's one of those ones that I played with and completely forgot about, and it just happened to be in the Coalition versus Phyrexia deck. And just it's one of those ones where you flick through a deck of a new deck release card and you just come across something, you're like, oh yeah, how did I forget that?
Yeah, there's one of these floating around in my play group, and it's put with Trostani, and
Yeah,
Doubling season.
well, it's anything. I mean, I had it at once with Reese, and Reese has got obviously with the amount of tokens he chucks out. I've got the odd Soul Warden and so on and so forth, so that gains a fair bit of life. And yeah, anything that's got a bit of life gain in token generation, it's just a wonderful little fun tool. And the fact that it's not colour dependent at all is brilliant.
yeah.
It's not. Yeah. I think that about wraps it up then, guys. I think the last thing I'd want to say is I hope you all enjoyed your pre-release with the Khans Attack here, because that came out the weekend before we recorded this.
Yeah.
And the release will be a couple of days after this, but after we record this, but after the release has happened, it's turned out to be an incredibly good set for sealed. I can see it being brilliant for draft, and
I can see it being a nice challenge for draft.
yeah, it seems really good. There's a lot of good fixing in it. I had good fun playing it last Sunday, and yeah, I've got nothing to complain about it really.
No.
A couple of little things, but nothing to sort of sort of screams at me, going, "This should be fixed," or "This shouldn't be like that." It seems like
the reintroduction of morphs is so much fun.
Well, I'm pretty sure Wizards announced that it's the best-selling set ever. I think.
I think that's just more and more people are getting into Magic as it goes, to be honest.
Well, it's the fact that Return to Ravnica was the last one, I think it was. Return to Ravnica was a very, very, very good set. And then the fact that Fetch has got reprinted, people are buying, rather than just one box or a fat pack, are buying a box or 2 boxes or even a case, because Fetch lands are always going to be good. You're always going to want them, and they're brilliant in every format you can play them in. Just, if you're going to watch it online, just get the popcorn ready to watch them shuffle for about a minute. It's the only issue with Fetch is that you have to watch people shuffle for about a minute.
Yeah, and there might actually be some decent commander cards in it.
Yes.
Well, yeah, there's Clever Imposter.
It's nice that they've added. It's the first new wave of 3-color commanders for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had obviously dual color commanders back in RTR, but to suddenly get a nice wave of 3-color commanders in colors that haven't really got a great deal of love.
3 of the 5 legends are brilliant. The only 2 which I don't think will see any commander play, any as commanders, are the Sultai and Abzan ones, just because they're so low in the curve. They don't really do anything in commander. Surak is insane because he's insane. If you haven't read him, read him, then tell me otherwise. Narset is brilliant because you can swing and drop Enter the Infinite for free, which is never a bad thing. Then there's, oh god, what's the last one?
That they are
yeah.
There's just been a nice provision. Generally speaking, whenever you get a heavy multicolour deck, multicolour cards are usually quite often. Sometimes they can be quite hard to fit into fairly competitive decks in the other formats. But in Commander, multicolour cards quite often have lots of random funky things that they can do, and they eat bread and butter when you start to play with different colours in Commander decks.
the last one, just remember, is Zergo. I actually pulled him in my sealed pull. Brilliant card. Maybe standard playable. Definitely brilliant in Commander because he's more suited in those colors than his counterpart Ruhan. That I think he's better in those colors than Ruhan is.
I'm
And
not saying a word.
yes, you're right. You are not saying a single bloody word. And Zergo keeps getting bigger. Zergo gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And in the end, you just kill someone in one shot.
It is nice just to have. It's the same. To be fair, it's the same when any set comes out. It's always nice to have a fresh load of blood. But I think this one's going to be one of the. There's more in here to actually fiddle about with and play with for Commander decks. I'm not saying everything's going to jump in and stay in, but I mean, I know we played Commander last night, and there was quite a few new Khans cards appearing that everyone got over the pre-release already. I mean, even down to the fact that you've got the additional lands, the come in tapped, gain a life, the wedge ones. It's just another load of lands that you can use as well. There's so much in this one to back Commander up, which just makes me kind of excited for the next two ones for this as well.
So yeah, last words to me. If you can find somewhere to play sealed or limited for Counter Target, do it. It's going to be a brilliant set.
And then put them all into Commander decks afterwards.
Then put them all into Commander decks, even the doubles. Even the doubles. Put them all in there.
All in there.
To hell with the rules.
Well, I'm going to be buying a box, and I want to open all the cards at some point, and I think I might put them all back together into booster packs and basically play Cube. That's another format for a completely different time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for tonight then, lads.
Yep.
Yeah, let's wrap this up now. So thanks to my two co-hosts for tonight.
Not a problem.
You're welcome.
And we'll speak to you next week. Until then, bye.
Happy command.
Thanks. Bye.